So, hello and welcome everyone. This is game number 1 of a best of 3. It's from the WCS EU Challenger qualifiers from a couple of weeks ago. A little bit of TvT action to start off the day. Gonna be fun, of course. This is getting live streamed if you're watching on YouTube, so make sure you check out twitch.tv/Madals to get in on that, and basically you can be watching this live. And that's where all the fun happens. I'll talk to you in chat and everything between games, which is always enjoyable. Now, up in the top left position, spawning as the red Terran player of Acklon on Acklon Wastes, it is none other than Western Wolves Mad Cat's Morrow. And his opponent down. In the bottom right, the blue Terran player, it's MarineLorD. Abbreviated to MLord, for those of you too lazy to say MarineLorD, but I can roll with that. I think that's quite a name that rolls off the tongue pretty nicely, actually. It's not too hard to do. Interesting barracks placement, supply depot. God, it's been a long day. Interesting supply depot placement coming up here at the edge of the main from Morrow. This just means that he's keeping vision around his base, just in case, like we saw happen on multiple occasions, a base in your base. If you've ever played ladder, you'll know that that can happen quite often, and the one time you don't build a supply depot up to the edge of your base is when it happens, and you kick yourself time and time again. It's nearly as bad as MC's 4-game. Did we all see MC's 4-game? If you haven't, just Google it. It'll come up, MC's 4-game. Premier, I believe it was his 4-game. Who was it up against? Oh, my brain's gone dead now. It was in WCS like yesterday from when I recorded this video, so the fact I can't remember. Basically, it was on Whirlwind, right? MC went for a 4-game PvP, and he scouted. And in the first position he scouted, where his opponent was spawning, he didn't move. He was 1 pixel too short from checking to see if the Nexus was there. So he didn't see it. Carried on round, scouted bottom left, then went to top left, going, I haven't scouted you anywhere else. You're top left, put the pylons down, everything. The war pins came. He ran up the ramp, went to go and kill the Nexus, and boom. It wasn't there. Oh dear. Now, anyway, this game, MLord, he's going up for that lovely Reaper expand. Meanwhile, we've got the gas there for Morrow, but his Reaper's not getting side yet. He's getting a second supply dip up, so it could be a very quick factory potentially. His gas is a lot lower than that of his opponents, so maybe a Reaper anyway. It just depends whether he gets it out after, but generally if you get it out after 2 Marines, it's going to be a bit later than you generally want to see it hitting, and therefore probably wouldn't be too effective. So the factory is really what I'm pinning my hopes on, getting that come down on. Oh, it's actually going to be a reactor, so very early reactor coming down on this barracks. It's going to allow a little bit more of a pump out of Marine slightly sooner. Meanwhile, MarineLorD, he's going to go and take his expansion. All looking good there. The Reaper coming over across the map too, could try and get a little bit of damage done. There is some cliff area that can be utilized just to come and jump up, but with 2 Marines there, it's not going to be too scary. But Morrow, he's getting down his command center. The big difference though, command center low ground, command center high ground. This Reaper does have to be a little bit cautious though, getting into a small bit of problems. Just trying not to die, really, so combat trucks can go in and heal it all up. But let's talk a little bit about these command centers, right? Getting this command center up on the high ground, actually a little bit later than that of your opponent as well, just means that you're going to be down on economy a bit. This orbit command, well, either the orbit command starts later, or the time you take this base starts later, because you've got to flow it down. But either way, it's an economical loss. Now, 2 Reapers are going to try and sneak their way in, but the Marines do get a greater look at them. 1 Reaper goes down, the second one goes down too. Nice snipe off there by Morrow. Definitely looking really solid there, and that's a good bit of damage done for absolutely nothing. 200 resources lost, boom, just like that. Meanwhile, oh, a super fast 3rd CC. Good little move. Now, what actually has MarineLorD seen? Not too much. He's seen that there's a reactor there, and that there's a supply depot. Doesn't know whether it's the first or second though. Hasn't seen the command center, hasn't seen the gases, all important things. But if we come over and look at Morrow's vision, well, he knows that there's a wall off. Both players really in a similar position, knowing that, hang on, I don't know what my opponent's doing, but nonetheless, both players getting their Stargates down at very similar times. It's all looking fairly normal, fairly standard at the moment. Nothing crazy really going on at all yet, but that can very quickly change, as we all know. Especially in TvT, once you start getting medevacs in and the potential for drops, things can start getting a little bit more crazy, a little bit more volatile is probably the best way to describe it. But this is a nice little funky push coming in. Of course, only the single Marine there for MLord after getting those Reapers out. So the Marines coming up definitely help a lot. We see the 1 Hellion goes down, but it's the Marines coming in that could be the problem. Nothing really to defend here, so we're going to be seeing quite a few dead SCVs, even if they do try and get away. The mule trying to get picked off first, they will get picked off before he comes back. That's quite a big mineral head actually now to MarineLorD, as well as these SCVs going down. Hellions trying to get in relatively good splits on the Marines, apart from lining them all up there. That wasn't too great. So now this should get cleaned down. A couple more Hellions coming in here for Morrow. Just going to try and pick this apart, but Hellion up on the high ground will help. If we take a look, totally 2 workers killed, plus of course the mule, and that will affect the income. Morrow now mining a good chunk more minerals per minute, just due to having a mule out when his opponent does not. Quite frustrating. But having said that, the natural base was down slightly sooner for MarineLorD because he got it at the natural, didn't have to float it down. That's going to give him small, tiny little fun advantages, which hopefully he'll be able to drive home quite steadily and quite firmly, just to make sure that he stays relatively even in this game. And to be honest, even is the right word for how things are going at the moment. They've lost relatively similar amounts. The worker count is one of each other. The biggest difference was the fact that the mule went down. But quite a few Hellions coming in here for Morrow now, but he didn't get shut down because there's a Viking landed there for MarineLorD, and that's actually doing a surprisingly large amount of damage. He's also got a Raven coming out. So though, does Morrow, both players getting the Raven play on its way down. The Viking landing just to really stop anything from coming up too quick. The barracks as well being floated down tells us 2 things. 1, Morrow is going to have a bit of a better indicator of whether a drop's coming, but 2, he's going to know that it's mech, or that it's probably going to be mech. And now as the scam finishes, precisely on the mark, those 2 factories get started, so no revealing yet. Just maybe leaving his opponent wondering where the barracks is, because he hasn't seen it anywhere. So that could be posing some questions like, hang on, I'm sure there was a barracks there before. Where have you moved it off to? Are you going mech? Meanwhile, over at MarineLorD's base, he's grabbing down a tech lab, but onto the barracks. So he's just going not too crazy in any way, shape or form. Meanwhile, though, Morrow, of course, as we know, busy getting down just as many barracks as he possibly can. Factories as he possibly can, and therefore gonna be able to get out a sizable mech army fairly quickly. So this is gonna be quite interesting how things go. Of course, MarineLorD does currently have a nice little container on his opponent, but I very much doubt we're gonna be seeing Morrow try to break out. He is putting a supply depot down here, though. That's obviously not gonna work too well. Poor little SCV. He just kind of fell on his head there. He face planted. He was just like, nope, not worth it today. Jump out. Feel a bit bad for him now. Anyway, really just a whole ton more tech labs coming down, just to be expected. We do see that actually for the moment more factories being added on here by MarineLorD, so he is going to be going up mech himself. Of course that's hinted at by just how many Hellions we do see. The Raven coming over, just getting a little bit of vision, saying, okay, what have you got there? Gonna drop an auto turret, gonna do a nice little bit of work. The Vikings landing too, just trying to shoo them away, just be like, get out of here. Pesky Hellions. Meanwhile, we do see that the 3rd CC already down in position for MarineLorD there. For Morrow, he's just floating his down at the moment, and this isn't crazy later, but remember the natural base was fractionally later. We've already got mining coming on here. Unfortunately, these 3 SCVs have not got a rally point set, so it's just chilling there and not mining anything. But this is, well, quite simply a good little income advantage for MarineLorD right now. You can see that overall his income slightly better, taking the additional gases a little bit sooner. Small differences that definitely will make a difference. Why is there no way? I'm just going to sit in the middle of the map, because that flamethrower noise against rocks is damn annoying, and it's not going to be going away anytime soon. It just seems to be everywhere. Hellions take forever to kill rocks. It's like Zerglings, but worse. More to the point, how do they ever do it? But Morrow, he's got some tanks here. They're going to be helping the cause significantly. Unfortunately, for MarineLorD, he hasn't realized tanks could probably help him here. So he's just making this ring of fire. It looks pretty cool though. If only they were all synced up, that would be preferable. Just for style points. And I think you should try and earn style points whenever you play StarCraft. I think there should be a style points option. Like every tournament that runs should have both like the normal winners, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever, prize money. And then there should be a special reward for most entertaining player. That would be awesome. I'd like to see that. I don't know how you judge it. You'd have to have like a panel of judges after every game that gave scores based on, I don't know, originality of the build, application of micro, and, I don't know, general crowd amusement. That would be quite a good one. I don't know how you judge that. You need like a decibel meter. That'd actually be a really awesome thing to do for like a big live event. I'm talking like DreamHacks or previously MLGs or actually WCS World Finals. That would be awesome. Like just having some kind of decibel meter, and then whichever 2 players got the loudest cheers won a prize. I could be onto something here. I definitely reckon that'd be good. Anyway, Hellbats just still coming out, just really quite standard. Tanks, Hellbats, you know. All the overpowered units, hub-de-dub-de-dub. Meanwhile, over on MarineLorD's side, he's just busy chucking down a couple of things here, there, and everywhere. We do see that this supply depot. You might be thinking, why is MarineLorD build a supply depot over here? Well, let me do this, and then you can see. He's picking up drops that are coming in, trying to see anything that could be trying to sneak his way into his base. Meanwhile, up here, for Morrow, he's just running around the map. Both players being relatively passive, actually, losing around the 1,000 mark. This unfortunate barracks for Morrow will likely die, because Vikings are chasing it down, and there is not much in the form of anti-air to really deal with that. So, bye-bye barracks, and I really hope that Morrow does have another one sailing around somewhere, but it appears no, he doesn't, so that means he can't make any more factories while that's down, but he does have a good number at the moment. Anyway, looking at the supply, it's near exactly equal, actually. These two incredibly evenly matched in skill, which obviously makes the games a lot more entertaining for us. We do have the +2 weapons starting for both players' vehicles, as well as +1 armor for MarineLorD, which is going to give him a small little upgrade lead, getting those double upgrades, especially when his opponent is just sitting on the single armory. But we do see Morrow getting ready to move forward, just trying to push back this army, saying, no, you're not getting up a nice siege position. Getting the 4th base down. I yawn like a terrible person. Seriously, I've been up for about 18 hours already, and I've been training all day, so I'm pretty shattered, but I do apologize for that. Anyway, we do see that the 4th is down fractionally sooner there for Morrow than MarineLorD. Both players mining a very similar rounds. MarineLorD getting a little more minerals per minute, and that's probably because he's got an additional mule down somewhere. That'd be my guess anyway, but we are going to have a nice little engagement here. The tanks sieging up the Vikings, going up against each other. Both players chucking down those point defense drones, and both of them doing relatively well, but the Viking battle seems to be getting won at the moment by MarineLorD, and that's going to be problematic for Morrow, because his tanks now slightly exposed, vision being granted, of course, by the Vikings. The Raven goes down. Big loss there, very, very frustrating, and 2 tanks coming up into the high ground. Where's the vision being granted from? That's what I want to know. Well, scans are running a little bit of it. The Vikings could come back. They could land on top of these tanks and just start trying to pick them off, buying some time for these tanks to move forward. We'll wait to see precisely what is getting decided to be done here, whether the tanks are going to come up onto the high ground, whether they're going to try and just pick things apart where and if they can. But yeah, with some scans going, I'd say actually it's MarineLorD who's in the strong spot, just due to having the vastly superior tank count and also supporting units there too, easing these tank lines forward, just trying to creep them in and get them into a solid position. But yeah, tanks just absolutely everywhere, dealing a nice amount of damage. We do see the one lone brave Hellion does manage to make it into the 3rd, but probably not going to be able to kill anything, and I feel bad for that poor Hellion. He risked his life, he gave his life, and got nothing for it. Since Town taking a couple of shots here from the tanks will get taken out, that's going to suddenly hide from Morrow any information about, hang on, where is my opponent going? Where is this positioning going to be taking us? More reinforcements coming across. Remember, of course, +1 upgrades done for MLord. That's up against +2 for Morrow. Slight lead, it's only very fractional, but these very fractional leads can make a huge amount of difference actually, because it's little upgrade leads that, especially when you get through the game, makes a big difference, especially when we start seeing like 3-0 versus 3-2. That's actually very substantial and could make a big effect. But a couple of tanks coming down here onto the low ground. The tank line absolutely huge. The Viking on Viking fights are going fairly well. We can see that actually Morrow fractionally ahead in the Viking count, but he's also got the Thor helping. But a Seeker missile goes off, picks down the Thor thanks to the help of those tanks, and MLord winning the fight in the air once more. Now demolishing a good chunk of those units. How is Morrow granting this vision? That's what I want to know. He's sneakily taken the watchtower. I'm surprised MarineLorD hasn't actually gone to check that, thinking, hang on, how does he have vision? It's because the scans are being used. Doesn't completely give it away quite yet. But what to do? If you're Morrow, you can go for a little caliber like this, try and just plow through. But he's taking a lot of damage here. These 3 siege tanks doing a fairly substantial little shove. We've got more Hellbats coming back, more tanks here as well over the ridge too. This is now MarineLorD trying to cut off the potential retreat that could be going down. And if he does manage to do it, that would be absolutely ace. But, only a small group of units here for Morrow. And this is a lot coming now through for MarineLorD. He's using those Hellbats very effectively. Unfortunately, the tank's still currently up for Morrow. Is it going to be enough damage? We can see both players once again down to around the 73-75 supply mark in terms of army, both losing near identical amounts of resources. This game ridiculously close, both with a very similar worker count. The difference though is the army supply. Morrow 110 to 63. That could be the real deciding thing is, can that supply difference lead to Morrow taking this game after being contained for just oh so long? The Sense Tower goes down, a couple of tanks, they go down too, giving MarineLorD a slightly larger resources loss count than that of Morrow, but only for the time being. That can rapidly change. Remember 3-2, as I spoke about earlier, 180 of 220 done. All MarineLorD needs to do is buy some time, and then suddenly that upgrade advantage could be great for him. Morrow going for the triple command center behind this, ready to get all of the mules down. And once he starts getting those mules, that's where fun things could definitely start happening. But yeah, we do still have to worry about the fact that the upgrade advantage is so heavily in favor of MLord, and he's about to get +3 kick in. It's going to be before that of Morrow's, but are the tanks going to be up when that's done? The answer is no, they probably won't be. There's only a single or a couple of tanks remaining. They've got to do so much. They've got to pull off an absolute miracle. They do have +3 now, up against no armor of Morrow, but MLord on the last laugh now. He's got to try and make sure that he holds up as much of this as possible. But Morrow so heavily knocking on the door now. He's battering it down. He's taking out all the supply depots, and he's still got an army. 94 to 46. That's a hard place to come back from. Luckily for MarineLorD though, he's still got mining bases, but for how long? Because there's a tank and a Thor move in here. That planetary fortress is going to start taking a little bit of fire. We've got, of course, a tank line up currently, but Orbit Command's taking a lot of fire. We've got additional Orbit Commands morphing in for Morrow back at home. He's actually on his opponent's natural ramp. He's shelling the third base. The planetary fortress may still be up, but just for how long? Because that sieging can continue never-endingly. We could see a lot more Marines start getting taken out, and that's the problem. The tanks now for MLord are just purely there to try and buy as much time as possible, trying to get out just enough of a force to crush this. But MarineLorD, he's currently under half of the army supply of his opponent. He's down significantly in supply. The planetary fortress staying up is helpful, but it's the SCVs. They are just spending so much money repairing up this planetary fortress that MLord is completely broke. He's trying to get out some tanks and stuff. It's banking up 1,300 gas. The tank's doing a good job, slowly working through this, slowly getting the planetary fortress a little bit lower on health, and boom, down it goes. Suddenly a mining base lost, and if we look at the income, that just has a devastating effect on MarineLorD. Morrow up at kind of the 2,700 minimal mark, 800-900-ish gas, up against 1,400 and basically 500-600 gas for MarineLorD. That's just not sustainable long term, and it's why we see that Morrow is maxed to 130 of MarineLorD. A couple of SCVs trying to sneak their way back will die in the process, unfortunately, and things looking very, very dire for MLord. Morrow expanding down here, and he's just taking all of the bases. He's floating all of... Oh no, he's not even floating command centers. He's just flat out making more of them, because he's taken on the spirit of Empire Cast, where if you get enough command centers, you're going to be able to just sacrifice all of your workers, aside from some gas income, and just keep going. But yeah, in we go now with this mech force, and I think this could be one of the final pushes of the game. We do see tanks from Morrow there. G is cooled, and that means that Morrow takes game number 1 of this best of 3. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like the video, leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe. And if you're watching on Twitch, well, make sure you follow this channel. Game number 2 is going to be coming up in just a second as I